units will have to be affordable.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what they're saying, is that we're eliminating this option to the R20 because no lots are large enough.
Okay.
And the other thing is, we say we need to go back and rediscuss this with the community, and I don't object to that, but to think that that hasn't already been discussed, we went through the affordable housing plan, lots of public input. It was agreed when we went through that it would be put, the affordable housing only was practical in this downtown area. There was lots of public input to that, lots of discussion about that at the time. So to say that the people in these areas didn't have the opportunity to voice their opinion, just flat not true. They did. Plenty of opportunity. Now, if we want to go back and give them another opportunity, that's fine. I'm not going to object to it. But there was lots of discussion, and it was agreed that this was the area where affordable housing would go.
I understand your point, and I agree with part of it. And I've got to say that there has been a lot of confusion among people who actually were the charrette about what was agreed to and what wasn't, how large the area was that was being considered, and whether it was just going to occur, whether it was going to apply to CD and CL, or whether it was going to apply to all the areas from water to water. I think that wasn't universally known by everybody who participated. I also think this is a big enough change, and I don't think this particular thing was discussed. Apartment buildings, basically. You're talking about apartment buildings in R20. What was
I think Sarah's point was that it was discussed during the affordable housing plan in Europe.
Well, and the other thing along that line is that if we eliminate this now, there is on the large A affordable housing, there is a mandate to the town that we have to have 10% large A affordable housing at some time in the future. I think we have 2035 or something like that is the deadline. But we have to show progress towards getting there. In the last 5 years, we haven't shown the progress that we thought we'd be making on our affordable housing. So we're already behind the 8 ball in showing that progress. This is the only place it can go, so we can have all the discussion in the world over the next 5 years. But the reality is it's mandated to have that 10% unless that mandate changes. It's going to have to go in these areas. Whether the people like it or not, or whether they don't want to see change or not, we have a law and a regulation that says it has to happen, and this is the only practical place to put it. That's all. I'm not saying we change it tonight. I just want to make it my feelings very clear that, hey, all we're doing is putting this off down the road, the inevitable. That's all we're doing.
I agree, but I'd rather have it be, sorry, jump in.
No,
I'd rather
Nancy,
have it be-
why has a point to make before you go on? Why?
Mr. Chairman, I think all the commissioners have very,
Oh, nice.
very valid, probative comments. However, I just have to mention that you're reviewing amending this ordinance pursuant to Resolution 17 from the Town Council, and that resolution is very limited in its scope. It provides for a revision due to an editing oversight that would allow an appropriate density to occur in the village district by allowing the establishment of duplex and multi-family dwelling units on the same lot size as single-family lots in RA, R20, CL, and CD. That's the scope of this review. And I don't mean to diminish any comments of the commissioners, but I would just caution you that during this amendment process, not to go beyond the scope as identified in the council resolution.
Do you feel that the recommendation we made to change table 3.2 and add those minimum lot sizes in is beyond the scope?
You mean the column to 10.1?
No, that is the scope.
Okay.
I think addressing, where the duplex and multifamily units are on the same lot size, that's the scope of this.
Okay.
Getting into these other discussions, and I would just be concerned that if the commission was to make a decision for further amendments, I think we would really need to look at whether those would be beyond this amendment process pursuant to this moratorium. And that doesn't mean, obviously, the commission could take up those discussions outside of this particular process, which you could.
As a result of this process, we voted to change table 3-2. We put in 25,000 square feet on the CL column. So I think,
And also we've reduced.
I think that it's easily within the purview of this review that we can discuss R20. And I also note in that in the CD district, we have 20,000 square feet listed in table 3-2, which is about 4 times the lot size. In CL, it's 3 times the lot size, at 25,000. In the R8, we have 3 times the lot size, that's 25,000. But in the R20, it's 10 times. What I think we should do is we should ask for a report from the town. How many 100,000 square foot lots are there in the R20 zone? Or how many 80,000 square foot lots are there? And if they could identify those, then we'd know what we were talking about. Because I think that the number that Barry's looking for and the number that would give us our goal of affordable housing is closer to 80,000 or 100,000. And I don't think that was going to have a tremendous impact on those neighborhoods either.
I can provide to you at the next meeting how many 200,000 square foot lots there are, how many 100,000 square foot lots there are, and how many 80,000 square foot lots there are.
Yes, that would be very helpful here. And identify them on a map as to where they are.
And if we had the table as we talked about revised, it'd be easier to see the baseline and additional units as well.
I'm sorry, say that again.
If we have that revision we just talked about, table 10-1, where we have the baseline, minimum square footage, and then each unit above that, that would be helpful to keep track as well for that discussion.
And then you want to go ahead and make that draft recommendation to the council?
I'm not sure. I think this requires some more discussion. I don't think we're ready for a draft yet.
No. We're going to get more discussion,
Right, I know.
whether you want to do it tonight or whether you want to do it after you get this data. Let's say at the next meeting, we come to a conclusion, we get the data, we come to a conclusion that we want to change that $200,000, 200,000 square foot number to something. We've got a draft motion to the council ready to go. We're fine.
We'll just plug it in and send
Is
it
that
on.
what you just
Yeah,
asked?
no, that's what you want, just so we can get it done,
Yeah.
because we have to get back to the town council.
But it would seem to me that rather than look at the lots that are available in town today, because those could change. People could buy double lots or triple lots, or there could be mergers or whatever. I mean, what we're faced with is doing something with some common sense here that's an outgrowth of all the discussions we've had. It seems to me that we need to look at a model of what that means in these zones. Do we really want a 200,000 square foot lot if somebody had one or made one with 4 dwelling units on it? Is that really what we want in terms of the character or the density of the village's character in general? To me, it's not. I don't feel that that's logical. I think that it leaves too much open space. And we also have the issue in my mind of creating from perhaps a larger home, somebody that wants to stay in town, doesn't want to leave, but can't afford to keep the larger home, but could convert it to 2 or 3 dwelling units. You know, you can't ask them to have a 200,000 square foot lot. So there are little bits and pieces of logic here that, to me, I think we need to physically model the options. I've been frustrated because, you know, that 200,000 square foot number just doesn't represent all of the unique circumstances that could be put forth in the different zones. It would be helpful for me to see a modeling of what that really means. Because you look at it and you see, well, we have certain minimum frontage, we have certain minimum lot coverage, and so on. What does that really mean in terms